Lynn Kunstman, always good to have you here on the Jefferson Exchange. Thanks for joining us for Garden for Life once again.
Well, thanks for having me.
So, I guess I think that just as we're beginning to emerge from the slumbers of winter in the month of March and move off into springtime, that I'm aware of your general guideline for the Rogue Valley anyway, that you don't do your heavy planting until after Mother's Day, which is a ways off, obviously. But there's a lot of stuff you can be doing in gardens in our climate in March.
Yeah. So the Mother's Day deadline or target is really for a summer garden, right? All those things that have to grow in the heat of summer and can't tolerate frost. Most people don't think about the fact that we have two shoulder seasons, one in the spring and one in the fall, where we have a lot of vegetables that can tolerate hard frost, even freezes. We have vegetables that can overwinter here in the Rogue Valley. My garden's full of them right now.
Like what?
So all of the cold crops like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, cabbage, collard greens, kale, all of those are very, very cold resistant and can be grown in people's gardens as fresh greens and vegetables, some of them year round. It's that most people think about vegetable gardening as a summer activity. That's why the Mother's Day, date is like a hard, fast deal. You don't want to catch your tomatoes and peppers and eggplants in a late frost, right?
Right.
So they will kick it, and then you have to start all over again. But the other things, onions and garlic. Garlic should be in now.
Oh, yeah, it should have been in October, right?
Yeah, it's going in. Yeah, and it's going to overwinter, and it'll come ready in July. Onions can go in. There are so many things. I mean, the list is as long as my arm of the things that you can direct seed in March. Carrots and arugula and chives and fava beans and lettuce and leeks and parsley, peas, radishes, scallions, spinach, Swiss chard, tons of stuff. Mm-hmm. There's tons of stuff.
I noticed that list includes corn salad, which I know I've asked about years ago, but it's an odd name for a plant that has nothing to do with corn, but may have something to do with salad, right?
Right. I have never grown corn salad. I don't have a clue about it, but it's on that list of things that if you're familiar with it, you can put it in. Yeah.
So how are these things like, I do remember, and this is one of the things that everything Lynn says, I do the opposite. It appears to be. I have not kept a good journal, and so I do remember harvesting broccoli during the NCAA basketball tournament. So that was in March a couple of years ago, but obviously it's not in the ground for me yet. So
Right. No, the sprouting broccolis can go in the fall, and they go through the winter, and then in March you have purple sprouting broccoli, beautiful little side shoots of purple broccoli coming on your broccoli plants, and they're overwintering cabbages, they're overwintering broccolis, and you can get those all in, and then you can also plant those kinds of vegetables this time of year. You can put the transplants out now, or you can start seeds of those, and have a spring crop of a lot of different things that you don't need. You don't need to wait until summer to grow it. In fact, they don't like it in the summer. Mm-hmm. They'll bolt and go to seed, right?
Right. So if you put a variety of broccoli in the ground now, when are you going to be able to harvest that?
You'd have to harvest it like in May, June, before the temps get too hot, because it will open up its flowers and try and set seed in the heat, right?
Because as you pointed out, yes, they all want to have babies.
They all want to have babies. That's why they're alive and why they want to grow in your garden. Mm-hmm. So, trying to make copies. Yep.
Why do these plants do so well in the cold temperatures? What makes them so resistant to frost and cold?
Well, I believe they're mostly from areas in Northern Europe, right? Most of our vegetables come to us from the settlers from Northern Europe, bringing them with them to the Americas. And so when we think about cabbage and turnips, and if you think about your old fairy tales, right? What were the grandmothers cooking in the Grimm's fairy tales? They were cooking turnips and cabbage soup and onions and all those things. And it's because those northern climates have colder seasons, and those are the vegetables that could be grown successfully. I think they're mostly Northern European vegetables.
Huh. We are talking, this is Garden for Life on the Jefferson Exchange. I'm Jeffrey Riley with Lynn Kunstman from Jackson County Master Gardeners, Master Gardener Extraordinaire. Come back to garlic for just a second, if you would, Lynn, because if you didn't put that in October, is there any making up for lost time, any varieties of garlic you could put in now?
Well, I don't know specific varieties, but you could always put it in now, and it would just probably come ripe later, and it might not get as large, because it hasn't gone through the winter months. But if you're going to do it, I would do it right away. Or if you have garlic that you didn't catch last summer in your garden, chances are you've got a clump of it coming up now. You can take those bulbs apart, and plant each shoot that you get out of that into your garden, and each one of those will develop into a head of garlic. So, I always miss a few, and they come up in my garden like the daffodils. They come up at about the same time, and then I dig them up and spread them out so that I get more garlic that way. So,
okay, yeah. I've been taking garlic out of my garden for a couple of years now, and I was so proud a couple of years ago. I was talking to somebody who used to own a restaurant, and I said, "Oh yeah, I pulled up 36 bulbs last year." She says, "Oh, okay, I had more than 100, so now I know how you lose track." It's like,
right, yeah.
So why don't we talk for a moment about the Master Gardener Spring Fair coming up? It's more than a month away here still, but good chance to get some bearings on events going on for gardeners in the Rogue Valley.
So we're back at the expo again, and it's that first weekend in May, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And we are right now in the process, our Master Gardener class for this year is going, and those students are starting all the plants for the sale. They have, or all the vegetables for the sale. And we also have native plants that we're going to be transplanting and taking out to the sale. So we'll have a ton of vegetables, and hopefully more than we had last year when we ran out. We didn't expect it to be quite as successful, and boy, we had a real run on our vegetables, and on the native plants. So we will have a big booth, and it's kind of in an outside covered area. We'll have all the vegetables, all the summer vegetables, tomatillos and peppers and tomatoes and eggplant and those kinds of things. And then a big section of native plants as well to sell.
All right, that'll be May 2nd and 3rd, Saturday and Sunday at the Jackson County Expo. We'll talk about it later in this edition of Garden for Life and in a future edition as well. So I'm curious, though, when you get the Master Gardeners and these, I assume that these people are coming to you with at least some knowledge of gardening. I don't know if any come in completely green. That might be a great use. Yeah,
well, there's a spectrum. Yeah.
So what are some of the first principles you discuss?
Now that I've been so vocal about it. The first module they have to read about is native plants. So
that's number one.
And it actually is something that the universities have all gotten on board with as well, because it's such a huge thing that needs to be happening. So that's the first thing they're exposed to, and then they learn they learn some botany principles. They learn about how to take cuttings from plants and how to propagate plants. They learn how to start seeds. They do a vegetable gardening and a soils class and a pruning class. So if they've got fruit trees, they'll know how to go out and prune their fruit trees to maximize the fruit that they get. They also get trained in integrated pest management so that they can work in the plant clinic and help other gardeners in the area learn how to not spray everything in their yard all the time, and to, watch more carefully for how to control pest damage that might be occurring. So, yeah, it's a pretty thorough program. There's a lot of work.
And it does start early in the year. This is it for the year, right?
Yeah, it starts in January and it goes until the class from the university part goes until, I think, early April. And then we run our practicum, which is sort of the lab portion of the class, through spring garden fair, so that we they're transplanting plants and getting things ready, moving things into trucks to get everything out to fair. So we're riding our students pretty hard to get everything get everything out there and have a good show for the public. So, yeah. It's pretty fun. They're pretty amazed when we have two greenhouses full of plant product, and they came in not knowing even how to start, tomatoes from seed, and here are these giant greenhouses that we've got filled with stuff. So
that sounds great.
It's impressive. Yeah.
This is Garden for Life on the Jefferson Exchange. I'm Jeffrey Riley, and talking once again with Lynn Kunstman, Master Gardener Extraordinaire from the Jackson County Master Gardeners Program. Back to propagation for a second. You mentioned that's one of the principles here, and I'm curious if there's any particular advantage, whether you use seeds in the garden directly or whether you grow them indoors and then take them out as starts.
Well, for me, I mean, if you can seed directly and not have huge insect predation, then that's the easiest way to do it, obviously, right? You put them in the ground, you water them and watch them and make sure things aren't eating them, and then it's faster that way. They don't go through transplant shock that way, so there's that advantage. But for gardeners like me, and I'm not spraying in my yard. I'm not getting rid of any of the bad guys that are out there. I find that it's better for me to start them I have a little greenhouse. I start the seeds early, 4 weeks early. That's the other thing. If you start them, you can start them before it actually tells you to, before you would be direct seeding them because the soil's not warm enough. You can start them earlier, which is what we do with all our summer vegetables, right? We grow them from starts. And then you put them in the warmer soil, and you have a little robust plant that can kind of defend itself against all the insect attackers or whatever's out there. So I like to put things in. I like to transplant things.
When you talk about the bad guys, the troublesome insects out there, it sounds like your general approach, though, is to maintain a balanced ecosystem. So you got things that are going to eat the things that'll eat your plants.
Exactly, and I really encourage people to look into what are called insectary plants, which are plants that will actually attract the bugs, the beneficial insects that will eat the baddies that are attacking your produce. So if you plant things like native wildflowers and members of the celery family, members of the mustard family, and let them flower in your garden in amongst your vegetables. So things like sweet alyssum that people can grow easily, or dill that you let go to flower, it's flowering. Those little predatory and parasitic wasps will come into, and they're tiny. They're the size of a pen head, a pinhead. They will come in and they will lay eggs in the bad caterpillars that are eating your lettuce and your cabbage. Minute pirate bugs will come in, the assassin bugs will come, the lacewings and the ladybugs, and all the good guys will come if you provide them some flower forage in your garden. So it's important to kind of mix up your vegetables and your flowers so that you're inviting in those really important little, so your ecosystem is balanced in your garden.
And a garden, it need not be like all perfectly neat rows and stuff, because you're going to have some things intermixed in there, right?
Right. And the reason we get such pest pressure is we like to grow, a bed of cabbage. It's all a monocrop. And then it's easy for the cabbage looper butterflies to find that. So if you spread out the flowers throughout your cabbage bed, then the insect that's coming in to lay her eggs is getting weird mixed chemical signals. She doesn't know where she's going, right? So she's finding it by the chemicals that the plant gives off. But if there's nasturtiums in amongst, your other vegetables, that's going to give off a different chemical signal to her and confuse her. So,
all right. So keep a good balanced ecosystem. Keep that soil thermometer handy as we get into the warm season, so you know when to plant your stuff. And also think about coming to the Jackson County Master Gardener Association Spring Fair, May 2nd and 3rd at the Jackson County Expo. Lynn Kunstman, you'll be there, right?
I sure will, both days, all day.
Okay. Lynn Kunstman, always a pleasure to have you on Garden for Life on the Jefferson Exchange.
Thanks so much.